All right. Well, I don't always have the option owning a business on Maui to take it to the dealership. So I'm not a trained mechanic, but I have had to do a lot of stuff myself. So wanted to make some videos. This is for obviously high and low pressure fuel filters and spark plugs. So hope you enjoy it. If you do, please drop me a like at the end. Thanks. Start by just pulling this little guy off the back here. Just pull it out. And one little tool makes my life a whole lot easier. This little guy, you can buy it, just fits one end into your little driver, impact wrench, whatever. Other side's gonna fit on your sockets. In this case, everything's gonna be a 10mm today. So we're just gonna fit this on here. Make sure it's going to loosen everything. So we'll just keep continuing loosening these guys up. I usually only loosen it to right about here. Farther forward, we don't really need this whole plate in front that you can't really see off screen. So the whole point of this is to get at the high pressure fuel pump. Also, this spark plug, actually to get this out in the ignition coil, we're gonna have to remove this part, or at least part of it, and peel it back a little bit. So you're going to see me peeling this back. You're going to watch for this lip right here, and then also you want to make sure you don't just pull down. A lot of these tabs are pretty delicate up top. We're just going to pull forward, get it off there, make sure we pull it to the side. Already we've got our high pressure fuel pump exposed, but to get this, we're going to peel off there. Alright, just forgot one of the bolts, so now it should come off. There we go. Nice and easy. So first, I'll probably attack this high pressure. Not that we have to do it in order, but this is where we'll start since we're already at this area. Real quick, I just wanted to show you, a lot of times it made me nervous when I started to see this little separation and just let it hang by the plastic. But about 4,600 hours, not on this engine, but this one, and it's still fine. All in good condition. You can see it's a little older, but there's no broken pieces up there or anything. So our high pressure fuel filter is actually right behind this guy. So we're just gonna need to take out this little vapor separator assembly here. You can see I already stuffed a yellow towel. I usually prefer those. We're just gonna separate this little line. Probably would have been easier to do before. Sometimes I like to do things the hard way. Okay, and this guy's just gonna swing free like that. And now we've got full access to our high pressure fuel filter here. So we're just gonna remove these 3 screws. Now the manual will tell you you're gonna have to loosen the pressure with this. But I've done that before and it didn't seem like it did anything, like literally anything. So I'm just going the old-fashioned way that I like to do it. I just unscrew them, and then when you pull it free, that's why I've got this rag, because some gasoline is gonna drip out. So you obviously don't want to pull on these tubes. Should be pretty obvious. If it's not, don't pull on the tubes. I usually like to pull maybe around this screw here, and there's also a metal lip right here that you can pull on. So it can also twist, by the way, so that usually helps. Just twist a little bit while you're pulling. There we go. Got my fuel filter here. Gonna swing this out, and you can see there's the gasket. We're gonna replace that. I get my little picker, like a dentist tool you can get from Ace Hardware. Pick that right off, right there. I wanted to show you the difference between old and new. You can probably guess which is which. Obviously this is going to be the new one here. It's pretty easy. There's a little lip in here where this is going to fit into. It doesn't necessarily stay there though. So a lot of times I try to put it all back kind of at once. Hold it in place here while I put the fuel filter back. and it's kind of in place. Just stays there, kinda, and then we just put the screws back in one at a time. There we go. That's all done. Now we just gotta swing our vapor assembly back into place. And that's already got a little stud that goes there, and then we're just gonna screw those back on. Something I've found to be invaluable, anti-seize. Honestly, I don't know what I would do without it. This is kind of a lifesaver. And that screw, as you guys were seeing earlier, was pretty hard for me to get out. And you can see a little bit of corrosion on that one, and I'll show you the other one. Even more on that, right? So a lot of people that have been experienced with this kind of stuff have told me that's the dumbest thing ever. You're just gonna have it back itself out or slip out. And it might be true if you were doing brakes on a car or something like that, but as much salt as this thing takes, I need to get this off again. And the only way I can kind of be sure I'm gonna do that is with a little bit of never seize on the threads. Trust me, with the amount of salt, if you put it in the water a lot, in the salt water anyway, it is going to be hard to get out, especially these little guys. So that's what I do. Let's hook this hose back up. Try not to bend this or damage anything about that. Another high pressure fuel line, as you can see, so not my favorite part about maintenance, but just be careful with everything else while you're down here. Make sure your rag's back out. You can see no more fluids in there. If you can't, you just have to trust me, no more fluids. And that's it. That's the high pressure, all done. So here's our low pressure fuel filter. This is going to be our water separator. There's no maintenance there. Obviously oil filter. The way the book has you do it is squeeze these lines with a little pincher to make sure there's no fuel coming out. Remove these clips and then take off this whole harness. The way I'm going to show you is a lot faster, which is why I do it. If you want to go the long way around, feel free. And just remove it from this little harness here. It's just rubber and it just slides up. There we go. And there's our ball. Looks like we got a little oil. It must have been from one of my oil changes. Still on there a little bit. And there's your fuel filter right here. So what we're going to do is just remove these 3 screws here. You might have a little fuel spill again, although this one is usually a lot easier. Again, this one can turn, and that's all it is right there. And I just try to catch everything in the bowl. There we go. And there's nothing you really need to do with this element anymore. Actually, I'll start with showing you the old and the new filter. Probably guess which is which again. I don't know why ours is always a little bit of red. Probably something to do with the red boat. But you look at the gaskets up top, make sure that little rubber O-ring on the inside is still there. I actually have been doing a bad job, but I usually try not to touch this element as much as possible. So we're going to put this back on here. There we go. And that one will stay. And then we've got our other element. And you can, I usually try to seat this as the base as much as I can. So I'm just pushing it around. Not that it says to in the book, but okay. And then this is going to kind of push a little hard back on because it's got that O-ring in there. And you just got to screw it up. All right, and with this method it's pretty easy to put it back in. There's a little slit on the cup right here. You can't really see it, but above one of these little windows there's a little slit right here, and it's supposed to line up with this outgoing line from the filter, but I don't think it matters too much, especially since it's pretty straightforward. When you put it back, you can see where the way the lines want to go. Just make sure that gasket on the bottom gets fully seated, like so. There you go, low pressure's done. All these are ignition coils. The spark plugs are right at the very back of this hole. So even though the batteries are turned off, probably should have started with that, telling you that, but we're gonna disconnect all these. There's a little clip on the top, so I'm squeezing down with my finger, and sometimes you just gotta wiggle a little bit, and then it unclips from the ignition coil there. Got it. And I'm just gonna take, I believe it's a 6 mil, and remove these little Allen heads here. Obviously I'm just going to show you on one. I think it's a bit repetitive to try to make a video full of all 6. And then this just pulls out. This is your ignition coil. And then your spark plug touches right on the end of there. These are really expensive, so don't drop it. Set it down gently, be very careful with them. The manual talks about it, and they've never priced them out, but I can imagine they're expensive since they're on a marine engine. So, one other thing with these ignition coils here, this area right here I've greased. I just got done doing it because I had done the timing or valve lash, and I always take a little bit of grease, just a little bit of marine grease, and then rub it right around on the inside all the way around, because where this couples with the tube where it goes back down, it tends to get salt water in there. So if I were you, or fresh water if you're in the lake, but make sure you just do a light layer of grease around there. This is pretty fresh, so I don't need to do it again, but light layer of grease will go a long way to make sure that the water stays out from dripping down into your spark plug area. Alright, so this is when your 5/8 socket and your really long extension comes in handy. This is just a 3/8 ratchet. Shouldn't need a whole lot of torque to get these off. There we go, and then I'm just going to undo it by hand here. There we go. There's our old spark plug. So we're going to focus on putting these panels back on now that we've got everything. Actually, I'm going to finish these later. I want to get my Bob Marley back on, so I'm going to try to button this up so I can turn my Bluetooth radio. But this is the important thing. There's one here. You got to tuck this lip back on underside, and there's these little tabs up top here. You'll see them if you're doing it. You have to get them back on top of this rail. So you don't want to catch it on the underside, one of these little tabs, and bend it. So what I usually like to do, if you've got it mounted high, is getting on the bucket. And the hard part here, well, sometimes you can't. I'm going to push in there while I'm bending back on this top part. Then I'll come up real quick just to make sure everything's on top, and it is. And also, back in here, when you put on your other panel, you're going to want to make sure those two line up. Same with on the very back, all these seams. Now normally I would put just the tiniest dab like I did before of Never Seas on these, but you don't have to, or I don't have to because I already did it. I just adjusted the valve, so I did it. But all of these little guys that go in all of these holes all the way around, especially the ones below the water line, they're going to be around the water, at least right here, and these two in back. I've had other ones that actually end up sticking inside and I can't get it because the head just strips right off. And then what I'll do is try to screw them in by hand here. At least get them started. grab this, make sure the clutch is in a good spot. Stop. And done. Then I'm just going to start from the front of the engine and move all the way towards the back one by one, because sometimes if the holes don't quite line up, then this will pull that section into place and vice, so on down the line until you're back here. Finish at the top, go to the bottom in the middle, and you're done. And all you got to do is put your cover on, start your engine, make sure everything works.